Konnichiwa everybody, welcome back. Well, time's just as precious for me, unfortunately. I was over one thing and now I'm got something else on my plate. No time for anything. Been decorating all day. Anyway, pickups. So far behind, I'm not going to keep going on about it. As the title suggests, this is proper retro. This is true retro. Retro does not come on discs. So, mixed bag. Like I say, I've said before, these are from all over. You know, from ages ago. A couple of them, I've literally just unwrapped them in the post today, rather than have the same thing over and over again. Because on top of everything else what's been going on, I've been rearranging things quite a bit. Changed the rooms around a fair bit. It's better organised now. It's given me a bit more space, and it's kind of, it's allowed me to set the Spectrum back up, because I was struggling for space for the Spectrum and it wasn't getting the love it deserved. So I've kind of, like I say, I've rearranged things in the garage, and I've now got I've rearranged the one wall, and I've got a lovely Spectrum section now. So I'm on a mad Spectrum sort of craze at the moment, because I've thinned out my Spectrum collection quite a lot, probably half. Just the stuff you'd accumulated, you know, over the years in bundles. But you know, now I've gone through everything, and you know, sold everything a surplus to requirements. You know, I'd done that with the Spectrum as well, and I'd sold off, you know, the stuff I didn't want, because primarily on everything I want stuff I had in the past, or I wanted, or I found out about since, that bang up my street. So consequently, there are Spectrum games that I've never got round to getting, that I had back in the day, or played back in the day. So there aren't that many, but I'm on a mission now to get them while it's fresh in my mind. I've got the Spectrum set up in the best position I've ever had it since I was a kid. So there are a couple of Spectrum pickups here, but we won't do that first. Anyway, back to the pickups. Waffling on again as usual. Atari, still loving the Atari. We picked up Riddle of the Sphinx. Now this is an Imagic game, as you can see. I've been buying these boxed, but this one not that common, and it's not cheap boxed. But I managed to get a cart only cheap. It's not the greatest game, if I'm honest. It's a bit strange. Kind of a weird, almost a vertical shooter, but as you get hit, your character is impeded and slows down, so it makes the game harder. Really weird. Interesting, but you know, I wouldn't go out my way to buy the boxed one. Next up, Kangaroo. This is a really good game. Really like this. I would have bought this boxed, I think. And I might upgrade, because I do like this game, but I'm happy with the cart only for now. But yeah, it's obviously a single screen arcade platform game from back in the day. It's an Atari game, I think, from memory. Pretty sure it is. But yeah, tough as they all are. You could argue it perhaps plays a bit slow, but nevertheless, it's kind of a Donkey Kong rip-off, really, I suppose. But I'm chuffed to have it, and it's, like I say, it's a great version. And you can get that, you know, the actual arcade game on, like arcade archives on the PS4 or Switch. So at some point, I'm going to download that. Also got a groovy new cap. Ferrari. Well chuffed with that. Sticking with the Atari, we've got a couple of Activision titles. Decathlon, as you can see. label's not great. I've seen a few of these, and the labels always seems to be a bit rubbish. It should be purple, like a purpley blue colour. Obviously it's faded quite a lot, as you can see, but it's all there. It's not as good as Daley Thompson's Decathlon, in my opinion, but it's all right. I can imagine back in the day this would have been great. There's obviously just much better things available now, and my nostalgia for this kind of game is Daley Thompson's Decathlon. But I'm chuffed to have it, as I've said before many times. Activision again, we've got Grand Prix this time. Quite nice condition. This one ain't that common, in my experience, when I've been looking. Not the easiest to come by. A very simplistic game, really. It's kind of a top-down enduro, basically, and side-scrolling instead of into the screen. But that's essentially what it is. It's the same principle. It's not as good as enduro, and because it's side on it, it's probably harder than enduro, I would say. But you have to pass so many cars to get to the end of the. Is it level or is it timed, or the amount of pass it? I can't remember. But it's good, but it's limited. It's nowhere near as good as enduro. But that said, if you like enduro, I think you're going to get some value out of Grand Prix as well. Then we've got a CBS cart. I should have said, I can't remember where I had any of these from. I think Riddle of the Sphinx and Decathlon was from Old School Gaming, I think. Going back some time. And I think Kangaroo Grand Prix was off eBay. But all these, I mean, I wait till I can find a decent deal. Next up we've got Wizard of War. Like I say, a CBS cart. This is a Midway game, is it? I think on the arcade, because I've got this on the. This is on the Mortal Kombat arcade 1-up. Kind of, it's a cool game. It's kind of it's a single screen sort of maze game where you've got to sort of walk around the maze, eliminating the enemies without getting shot yourself. Kind of like Berserk, I suppose, but it's more maze-like, more like Pac-Man crossed with Berserk, I suppose, really. Not a bad game. I think you can get this on the ColecoVision, can you? I think. Pretty sure you can. But anyway, it's quite good. Right, we've got some boxed Atari now. And again, iMagic. This was cheap. I had to buy it. Purely because it was cheap. And the boxes are sexy. Quite good condition, bit of a crease down there. Like I say, the game's alright. It's not amazing. I think, again, I've only played this, you know, when I got it to test it. I've not played it since. I think, I could be wrong. I think this is the one that's kind of a very simplistic space area. But I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have time to put the footage up like I normally do for these. So apologies for that. But anyway, I bought this for the box because it looks nice on the shelf. That's Star Voyager. We don't play these games, do we? We only want to look at them. It's like manuals. We all want them, but we're never going to read them, are we? Right, we've got an Atari, like a first party Atari game now. And we've got Night Driver. A nice brown box. Not in bad condition. I bought this primarily because, obviously, my main focus is I'm a racing game fan. So this kind of falls into that category, of which there aren't that many on the 2600. So I felt I needed one, you know, that was available. It's nowhere near as good as Enduro. I'm not that crazy about this game, if I'm honest, but I kind of wanted a brown box as well on the shelf to help the rainbow out. So that's kind of why I bought it, really. But it's nice to have. I mean, it's a nice box. I just don't think the game's all that, if I'm honest. Then the last Atari game, you may be pleased to hear. Now, I've had this ages. And this one I bought from America on eBay, but like it was international shipping. It's just one of these you never see in Britain. And I took a bit of a chance on this because it was cheap, and it said in the description and the pictures the box looked rough. And I mean, it is rough, don't get me wrong, but I've done what I can with it, and I've kind of tidied it up a bit. And we've got Taxscan. I do love these Sega boxes for the Atari. They are excellent. There aren't that many, and that, like I say, they're all in America primarily, and they're all expensive, no matter what you want. But this is the first Sega one I've managed to get. I would like Buck Rogers, if possible, and I would love Tapper, but that ain't going to happen. It's way too expensive. It's not worth it. I'll stick to emulation, thanks. But yeah, from there it looks quite good. So on the shelf, it's fine. And they're kind of one of these gatefold with the instructions that slot in there and the cart in there. You can see it's a bit dog-eared down there, and you can see the front actually. That was all sort of worn away. So I've touched that up with a bit of Sharpie just to make it blend in a bit better. Unfortunately, the bottom, I think the rats have been at it or something, or the dog's eaten it, and the back. So unfortunately this corner section and the bottom section is no longer there. But when I got it, it was a complete mess. So it's vastly improved, but it is what it is. I'm really pleased to have it, and it's not a bad little shooter actually, but an awesome box. That's Taxscan on the 2600. Beauty. Right, PC Engine. We've got one PC Engine to show today, and again I've had this some time. But it's another classic, and we've got Superstar Soldier. Again, I've said before, I only buy cart only on these, or card only. So pleased to get that. Good vertical shooter. I'll pick them up as and when I see them, reasonable prices. I'm not going crazy buying PC Engine because you know, when you've had them once, I can't bring myself to pay the prices they go for these days. So emulation will do, and I'll pick them up when I can. Right, we've got two Spectrum games. The mighty Sinclair ZX Spectrum, and these literally have just come today. So unfortunately I've not tried them yet. However, the first one we've got is Cauldron. Now, does anybody remember Cauldron? I remember playing this. I think I borrowed it off somebody at school. I don't think I ever owned it. And there's also a Cauldron 2. It wasn't this version that I borrowed, it was the full price version. Unfortunately, this is just the budget re-release. Silverbird, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, I don't really remember much about it, other than it's set in, like, you know, witches, wizards type world. And I seem to remember you flying around on a broomstick, but I can't remember what you have to do. So I was really curious to get it back in the collection and replay it. It seems quite rare, especially the full price one. And the few that are listed on eBay seem really expensive. This one was quite cheap, I think, about a £5 from memory. So, was that a wise pickup? Can anybody remember what Cauldron is like? I'm about to find out when I try it, perhaps tomorrow. But let me know. I'm not sure if it came out on the Commodore or the Amstrad, to be honest. I don't know. let me know. And then the other one I've picked up literally today. There have been others, so there will be more Spectrum pickups coming for those wise people who had a Spectrum and are interested. Next one we've got, now this, I remember this from back in the day and seeing it again over the years, and always had it in the back of my mind, I want to try that one day, and for whatever reason I've never got round to it. And then I was watching a video last week I think it was, Richard Tappenden put a video up about this game for the Commodore, and it reminded me again, and I thought, right, I'm buying it this time. So I have, and I've got Kong Strikes Back on the mighty Spectrum. Obviously an Ocean game. For me, Ocean are the best boxes on the home computer front. Love them. But yeah, Kong Strikes Back. And obviously there was a Kong as well, which I have got. But this one, obviously, is not kind of based. Obviously, they took the idea of Donkey Kong, but it's kind of its own game. This one is. It's kind of sort of set on like a roller coaster, but with the same kind of Donkey Kong style mechanics. And like I say, this video I watched of Richard Tappenden, if you haven't checked him out, cracking channel. I've only kind of caught up with it myself recently. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check out his channel. Seems like a nice lad. And I think, I've got a feeling, one of the Hardcore 44. Maybe. I think he is. Anyway, Kong Strikes Back. The Commodore version looked really good, so I'm hoping, well, this is probably better. Well, there's probably about it. This will be better because it's on the Spectrum. Right, next up, no CDs here. None of this was from CEX. I haven't even been in CEX. CEX don't have things I want to buy. We've got two N64 games. First up, we've got MRC. Now, these are like, as I've said before, I'm trying to upgrade all my cart onlys. And I had this cart only, so obviously I bought the boxed one. Quite an early game this was. I remember having this when I'd only got probably 2 or 3 games when it was out in Japan. You know, and you were craving new titles, and this at the time I thought was brilliant. I loved it. Obviously it doesn't look as good as it once did, but it's still all right. I don't think it's too bad, to be honest. It's an okay racer, well, rally style. It's very arcade. Not bad. Well worth the money itself, because it's like, I can't remember, it's like a tenner or so. You know, it's cheap. Really not a bad game. There are much worse. So I was chuffed to. That's another one I've upgraded to complete from cart only. I'm down to 2 now that I've got cart only that I would ideally like boxed. The one you can't get Japanese, so that's not going to happen. So I'll have to stick with my cart only American. I'm not upgrading to the boxed American because it's a fortune. The other one I've got, I can upgrade, and I would love it. It's not cheap. So when you've got the cart only, and you know it's like £100 for the boxed one, you think, is it worth it for a box? So you kind of live in hope that you're going to see it cheap one day, but I know I'm just never going to see that one cheap. So it's just a matter of, will I pull the trigger and pay £100 for a boxed one? I don't know. So as it stands, I'm kind of there with the N64. Anyway, we've got here Banjo-Kazooie, obviously. Fantastic game, I've got to say. I don't really like 3D games, as I've said recently. But there are exceptions, and I do think this is really, really good. Far superior to Mario 64 in my opinion. I never got on with that game particularly. This is miles better, I think. Banjo-Kazooie, great game. Right, we've got 4 Super Nintendo to finish. Now this first one is quite... I'm not going to call it a shelf filler because it isn't. But I kind of bought it because I love the second one and I wanted the first one. And we've picked up Exhaust Heat. Quite a nice box. It's in nice nick as well, this is. Now my memory of this was that it wasn't very good. And Exhaust Heat 2 is way... Exhaust Heat 2 is magnificent. And my memory of this was it's a bit crap. But having bought this and replayed it, it's better than I remember. It's nowhere near as good as the first one, but it's not bad. Graphically, it's really nice. It always was, but I just never liked how it played back in the day. So I don't know why I think it's a bit better now, but it's by no means brilliant. And again, I would imagine it's cheap. It's cheap on Japanese, so I would imagine it's cheap, pal. You can do worse. It's not too bad. So I'm chuffed to have it next to Exhaust Heat 2 on the shelf anyway. This is another one I had back in the day, or played back in the day. Remembered it being really good. It's really cheap. So I decided to pick up Namco Prime Goal. Now I don't like many sports games, especially football, but an arcade football title, I'm on board with that. And that's what this is. Side-scrolling, arcadey, I think they're Japanese. Well, yeah, they are J-League teams. And it's this is like less than a tenner, so it was a no-brainer. Chuffed to have that. Not going to play it much, but if I play one game every 3 or 4 years, I've had my money's worth. Next up, this is a tip off Eddie. This is Super Family Court Tennis. On Japanese, it's called something else on PAL. Smash Court Tennis, which I had played back in the day, but really had forgotten about. But then Eddie said, when I mentioned about Super Tennis ages and ages ago, he said you need Smash Court Tennis. So I kept it in there, and I bought it. Obviously, it's another Namco game, obviously, and it is really good. Chuffed to have it. I still prefer Super Tennis, if I'm honest. Then the last one, cracking game, Area 88. Rock hard. I am crap at this, but had to have it. And it's another one of these I've upgraded from a cart only. UN Squadron, obviously, if you didn't know. I'm sure you've all played UN Squadron. But another nice box. Had to have it. Chuffed to have it. I'll never be any good at it. There we go. Thanks for watching. And let me know what you think in the comments. That's what it's all about. And hope to see you soon. Sayonara.